Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miranda, and today we are talking about a very sad topic, which is books that made me cry. I've been in my feels lately, and I feel like if you need a good cry, you should read one of these books. But first, we are going to open the Caffeine Legends box that I didn't get last week. It arrived today. So let's go ahead and open it. If it lets... Oh. I just stabbed myself, guys. This is why they say always, like, open away from you, right? So you don't, like, accidentally stab yourself. Or other people. I'm not bleeding, though, so it's totally fine. But this guy is really being annoying. What the heck? Okay, so it's delightfully devious. What did we get? Did we get tea? We did! We got the Smart Ass tea. By Modest Mix Teas, and it says, "We fucking love teas." It says, "Facepalm on the daily is your favorite word. Get your head out of your ass. Be smarter. Drink this tea." It is made with oolong tea, chunmi green tea, ginkgo biloba leaf, eleuthero root, which is just ginseng, lemongrass, and lemon peel. Very cool. And I just got a tea tin. So I could put it in there if I wanted to. Although I don't think you're supposed to put loose leaf tea in a tea tin box. I will not be doing that. Oh, we also got a magnet. And it says, "It looks like you're barely holding it together. Need some help? Yes or no?" It looks like it's made by Gemma Corel. Now it's on the tea tin. Oh, and we also got a little notebook that says, "Things I can't say out loud. You should hear what I keep to myself." And it's just a lined little notebook. We have the book Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Wow. It's got red... I was going to call them end pages. Edges. Are they all red, or is this a unique print? And, of course, autographed by the author. Okay. Let's read what this has to say. Get cozy with us this month as we dive into this bingeable fantasy rom-com, Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. We'll have you laughing until your sides ache, cringing until your teeth hurt, and furiously flipping pages until you finished it in one sitting. This book has everything, including lovable characters, laugh-out-loud scenes, chaotic mishaps, and just the right amount of romance. And this is what it says about the tea. Every smart-mouth villain needs to have a cup of tea to brood over. That's why we chose the Smart-Ass Blend Tea by Modest Mix Tea. This is a delicious blend of oolong and green tea with bright herbs. We felt the brightness in this matched the sassy banter between the assistant and the villain. And this is what it says about the magnet. Your bonus item this month includes a fun magnet from Badge Bomb, as well as a custom notebook made for this box. This silly quote matches the bright, helpful nature of Evie so well. Plus, the notebook has with a fun, snarky quote to represent the villain. We could definitely see him muttering this under his breath while toiling away on one of his projects. Very cool. You know what? Since we're going to be talking about something a little sad today, why don't we make myself feel better and make some of the teas. So let's go ahead and do that. We just need to let this steep, oh my goodness, for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll give it a good college try. So before we officially get started, I do just want to say there are spoiler warnings for every single book that I'm going to be talking about today. I will have timestamps down in the description below when I talk about each specific book. And I will say the first 2 books are like spoilers, or the second book's like a spoiler of the first book. So if you haven't read either of those books, you might want to just skip both and then go to the second 2 books of the video. So there is your warning, spoilers for all books up ahead. The first book we are going to be talking about, to no one's surprise, Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. He was dreaming again, dreaming of her. The quote that will forever break my tiny little heart. Let me go ahead and tell you what a little bit about Crooked Kingdom is about in case you haven't read it and you're fine with spoilers. This is the second book in the Six of Crows duology. So this also has spoilers for the first book. Yes. A lot of spoilers today. Kaz Brecker and his crew of deadly outcasts have just pulled off a heist so daring, even they didn't think they'd survive. But instead of divvying up a fat reward, they're right back to fighting for their lives. Double-crossed and badly weakened, the crew is low on resources, allies, and hope. As powerful forces from around the world descend on Ketterdam to root out the secrets of the dangerous drug known as Jurda Parem, old rivals and new enemies emerge to challenge Kaz's cunning and test the team against fragile loyalties. A war will be waged on the city's dark and twisting streets, a battle for revenge and redemption that will decide the fate of the Grisha world. There was a bug. If it's not obvious why this book made me cry, aka if you have not read this book and so you don't know what goes on, it is because of Matthias. I connected with Matthias really early on, not because I'm uber religious or anything, but his sense of pride and his connection to what he considers to be his people. So first the Fjordans and then the Crows meant a lot to me, and his willingness to change his entire life for Nina, and I love that for them. I don't think I could ever do that, but I loved his devotion to Nina more than anything. His death was the production of his willingness to change and his devotion to Nina. What more could he want? I mean, really. He saw a little boy, and he saw himself in him, and he realized that that little boy was who he was years ago. And he thought about how much better his life might have been if he knew the things he knew now. He tried to show the little boy that maybe Fjorda had some of it wrong, and maybe the world is different than what Fjorda is trying to tell him. He saw so much of himself in that boy, as I said. The fact that that little boy had such a crazy devotion to Jel and to Fjorda, because he's a young soldier. He's everything Matthias was. And this, in a beautiful character arc, sums it up as Matthias being murdered by his younger self, his past, who he was. The person Matthias was when he was a boy killed the Matthias he is now. And I think that's devastating. Another reason this death hurts so much is because it's at the end. And it's the end of the heist, as you call it. Everyone is done with their jobs, their responsibilities, and are finally meeting up. This is the end. This is the final stretch. The fact that the crows are so close to the end, and yet it still seems like a million miles away. And Matthias doesn't make it. He gets shot in a hospital. Crazy, first of all. Crazy. And that kind of brings the crows back to reality. You know? Not everything went according to plan. Even Kaz Brecker's plans. Not everything went according to that. And Wylan sums it up beautifully. He says, "We were all supposed to make it." They all were. They were all supposed to make it, and Matthias didn't. This book is as devastating as it is beautiful. I love the tropes and the fact that there's found family, there's real family, there's angst, there is the forgiveness, there's healing, there's building, there's so much about this book. This book makes it an amazing book and so sad. Absolutely depressing. And I don't think there will ever be a book or a series that I will ever love as much as I love the Six of Crows series. And I just want to thank Leigh Bardugo for making the best and the worst thing in my entire life, which is Six of Crows. And Matthias' death. Don't mind me. About to start crying. I was writing this script and I literally almost started crying as I was going over everything I wanted to talk about. Just, he deserved better. I think he deserved a lot better. Okay, this is still very hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and take out the tea leaves. It's been roughly the right amount of time. Time to go ahead and take out the tea leaves. But the drink is still very hot, so we're gonna let that kind of cool down. Next up, in very Maranda fashion, we have King of Scars, again by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first of the King of Scars duology, but this happens after Crooked Kingdom, and it'll make sense. It's time, Nina. Return me to my god. Let me go ahead and tell you what King of Scars is about. Face your demons. Or feed them. The dashing young king, Nikolai Lantsov, has always had a gift for the impossible. No one knows what he endured in his country's bloody civil war, and he intends to keep it that way. Now, as enemies gather at his weakened borders, Nikolai must find a way to refill Ravka's coffers, forge new alliances, and stop a rising threat to the once great Grisha army. Yet, every day a dark magic within him grows stronger, threatening to destroy all he has built. Yet, with the help of a young monk and a legendary Grisha general, Nikolai will journey to the places in Ravka where the deepest magic survives to vanquish the terrible legacy inside him. He will risk everything to save his country and himself, but some secrets aren't meant to stay buried, and some wounds aren't meant to heal. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of King of Scars. I felt like Zoya and Nikolai's stories didn't mean a whole lot. Their characters just didn't really mesh with me, and I thought they were kind of boring. However, the best part of this book was Nina's struggle to release Matthias. I know that this book is essentially just the extension of Crooked Kingdom and why it made me cry. It's just Matthias' death part 2, essentially. But it happened in a different book, so I can talk about it. It did make me cry. But this book, allows you to mourn Matthias if you need to. Obviously, I did. It gives him a beautiful funeral. And I avoided reading this book for years because I wasn't ready to give up Matthias yet. But I am glad that I did get to it. And I think I am better for it. We'll see, though. I think Matthias' funeral in this book is the saddest thing Leigh Bardugo has ever written. You know, having his first and last chapter being the same, like how it starts, not as sad as this devastating book. Oh my gosh, when Nina finally gets to burying him and letting him go, I could not stop crying. I might even start crying now, just thinking about it. It's the time that Nina gets to mourn properly. She's in a snowstorm, she's all alone, and she's just talking to Matthias and just letting him go. The eulogy she gives just shows how much she's loved him and how much she still loves him and how much that he's changed her. As much as we see in Crooked Kingdom how much that she changed him, this really shows the impact that his love and his presence in her life had on Nina. And the fact that Trassel shows up at the end, which is Matthias's wolf, it just really comes full circle. Trassel saves Nina and gives Nina the space to mourn. And I think it was beautiful, and it just gave Nina the space to heal. And the fact that she got to say goodbye to essentially a living extension of Matthias with Trassel. Whew, it was just sad, and I might cry. And this funeral also kind of allows the reader to grieve for the person Nina was. The Nina in King of Scars and the Nina in Crooked Kingdom are two very different individuals. And I really appreciated that because I miss Crooked Kingdom Nina. She was fun and happy and bubbly and was more optimistic than not. But in King of Scars, she's not quite like that. She's, grieving. And so it not only allows you to mourn Matthias, it does allow you to mourn the person Nina was. She will never be the same again. And it's just so sad. And yeah, every single part of that funeral was devastating. And I thanked Leigh Bardugo for Crooked Kingdom. I do not thank her for that funeral scene. I had to take a moment to compose myself after reading it the first time. And I don't know if I will ever be the same again because of it. I'm totally gonna burn my tongue. I didn't get enough. It's a nice color though. I think it might be not. I don't think I steeped it long enough. Yeah, I don't think I did. It's not bad. I think with this, a little bit of honey would be great, and I have some, so I might go put some in it. So give me a second. Okay, added a little bit of honey, maybe like a teaspoon. Here we go. You can't really tell. I think, yeah, definitely, I didn't steep it long enough, but it's the very light taste I'm getting is quite good, so. We shall continue. The next book on this list is Nona the Ninth by Tasman Muir. I cannot imagine reaching the end of this life and having any regrets, so long as I had been allowed to experience being your adept. Okay. This, by the way, is the third book in the Locked Tomb series. So let me go ahead and tell you what it's about. Her city is under siege, the zombies are coming back, and all Nona wants is a birthday party. In many ways, Nona is like other people. She lives with her family, has a job at her local school, and loves walks on the beach and meeting new dogs. But Nona's not like other people. 6 months ago, she woke up in a stranger's body, and she's afraid she might have to give it back. The whole city is falling to pieces. A monstrous blue sphere hangs on the horizon, ready to tear the planet apart. Blood of Eden forces have surrounded the last cohort facility and wait for the Emperor Undying to come calling. Their leaders want Nona to be the weapon that will save them from the Nine Houses. Nona would prefer to live an ordinary life with the people she loves, with Pyrrha and Camilla and Palamedes. But she also knows that nothing lasts forever. And each night, Nona dreams of a woman with a skull-painted face. I enjoyed the first 2 books of the Locked Tomb series, and I was not prepared at all for the creation of Paul and the pain that it would bring me. When you meet Cam and Pal, they were fun, they were quirky little 6-house guys, and I loved them, and I thought they were great. But it was very surface level. And then you get to Nona the Ninth, and you meet them. You get to know more of their characteristics, more of who they are as people. And so then when Paul gets created, it's devastating. And I know I keep saying devastating because a lot of this stuff is devastating, but it was. I grew to love Cam and Pal, like Nona did. And their end was just perfect for them. A lictorial end where they merged together is exactly what Cam and Pal wanted to do. They didn't want to be like the other lictors where the Cavalier had to die. And they didn't. Either they didn't want or they didn't know how to get the perfect lictorial process where they both lived. But I think without Palamedes' body, I think this is what needed to be done to save the both of them. And Paul is just their 2 souls together. I'm going to go ahead and read to you what their final words were because I think it just brings it all together. And I want them to see us. I'm not saying this was our inevitable end. I'm saying that we have found the best and truest and kindest thing we can do in this moment. Tell me no, and we'll go as we have been, and we'll go unafraid. But say yes, and we will make this end and this beginning together. That was Palamedes saying that. Camilla shivered all over the floor. Then she was at rest. She relaxed her head. The lines of her neck drooped like a flower. She raised it again. Palamedes, yes, she said. My whole life, yes. Forever, yes. Life is too short, and love is too long. He demanded. Tell me how to do it, and I'll do it. Camilla said, go loud. Oh, even just reading that kind of almost brings me on the verge of tears. Their love for one another and how much they're willing to sacrifice for each other. This moment isn't about them saving the world. This moment isn't about them doing the electoral process to overthrow God. It is so not big picture like this. This moment is them agreeing to be together. And in a totally not romantic way either, which I think is just wonderful. These 2 individuals, I think, are the most platonic soulmates you could ever have. And the fact that they get to combine their souls and make Paul is just the beautiful and perfect end to their arc. And then Paul is created. And I just hope that Paul gets the wit and the banter from Cam and Pal. Because if they don't, I think I'm just going to be even sadder. I need Paul to be funny, and I need him to be like Cam and Pal, because I already miss them. And I can go back and hang out with them anytime, but it was perfect for them, and it was everything they needed it to be, and I cried. And I might cry again, because I miss them. And I really, yeah. The last book that I'll be talking about today is The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. He figured that if he could no longer love Mercy in person, he could at least love her through the pages of her favorite novel. Let me go ahead and tell you what it's about. Hart is a marshal tasked with patrolling the strange and magical wilds of Tanria. It's an unforgiving job, and Hart's got nothing but time to ponder his loneliness. Mercy never has a moment to herself. She's been single-handedly keeping Birdsall and Son Undertakers afloat in defiance of sullen jerks like Hart, who seems to have a gift for showing up right when her patience is thinnest. After yet another exasperating run with Mercy, Hart finds himself penning a letter addressed simply to a friend. Much to his surprise, an anonymous letter comes back in return, and a tentative friendship is born. If only Hart knew he's been bearing his soul to the person who infuriates him most, Mercy. As the dangers from Tanria grow closer, so do the unlikely correspondence. But can their blossoming romance survive the fated discovery that their pen pals are their worst nightmares? Each other? And I know what you're going to think, based on that description. How did this book make you cry? One, it was that time of the month, and so I was already very emotional, and so leave me alone, give me a break, let me have it. And two, because it's freaking sad, that's why, okay? Because the saddest things happen in books like these, okay? But can their blossoming romance survive the fated discovery that their pen pals are their worst nightmare? Each other? Can their blossoming romance survive that? It almost didn't, is what I'm saying. So, okay. Obviously, like, Mercy finds out that Hart has been the one, like, pen paling her and didn't tell her, and that he's known for, like, a while, and they had, like, gotten together and blah, blah, blah. So she says, like, hey, go away, and I never want to see you again. So he's like, okay, fine. I'm gonna go finish this mission that killed my last partner in, like, work, not, like, romantic partner, my last, like, work partner. And sacrifice myself to, like, stop zombies. So he sacrifices himself, right? So that these zombies stop, like, becoming things. He, like, you know, all the souls get freed and whatever. And then his apprentice and his best friend finds his body and then brings him to Mercy so she can take care of him, because that's her job, is to take care of dead bodies. And he bought their, like, death package, and so now she has to take care of him. And little did you know, Hart is actually a demigod, and his dad's, like, the god of death. So while Mercy's over here grieving over his dead body, that is fucked up, by the way, he's having a little chat with his dad about his life and about death and, like, you know, what his childhood was like. And it's just in these moments that you realize they're both mourning what they had. Mercy is mourning the relationship that was built and subsequently destroyed. She's grieving over the fact that the last thing she told him was, I never want to see you again. And that happened. And the fact that she never gets to talk to him again or read his letters or do any of that. And while Hart is mourning his death, you know. He's also mourning the fact that his childhood was so weird, you know, being a demigod, and the fact that he's lost friends and that he doesn't get to see Mercy again. And the fact that Hart had died, he is dead. There was no doubt about the fact that Hart is dead. It made me question what kind of end this book was going to have. Was Hart going to come back? Is he going to stay dead? Is it that kind of tragedy? And that hurt. If he was going to stay dead, it's this idea that he sacrificed so much and Mercy would never know. And that their last words were so angry and not meant by either party, in the fact that that was all they got. And the fact that Mercy is pouring everything into keeping Hart's body okay and together and protected. It's heartbreaking and it's sad. And I didn't know if Hart was going to come back. And you know what? I think it could have gone that way. I think this story would have still been a good story if he didn't come back. But he does. And that is the release you get, or the relief you get from this book, is that Hart comes back and they get to talk it out and they get to say that they love each other and that everything's all good, which is great. And the only thing I could think of when Hart came back is, damn, I wish Matthias came back. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Sorry if I made you guys really depressed, and if I didn't, then you should read these books so you do get depressed, because they're painful and they hurt and everything, but they were also lovely books, and they just made me feel all sorts of ways, and I absolutely recommend every single one of these books. I'm on the edge about this one. So I hope you guys take care of yourselves, and I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, noon, night, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you guys next week for a happier video, hopefully. Okay, bye.